Hi everyone.
Hi.
Hi from Mason too. So today I want to kind of give you my first impressions review for the set that I recently got from Graham, the Quinacridone Watercolour set, which is 5 colors. And to swatch it, I will use my Stillman and Birn sketchbook. This is the beta series. I will leave all the links below so you can have a look. I'm quite excited to swatch these out because I haven't had an opportunity just yet, and so today feels good. Now they come in this kind of like a cardboard paper box, which if you're a beginner you might not find it very convenient, because obviously you will need like a tray or a palette or a tear-off palette very least, to be obviously squeezing these watercolors into and then getting your brush into. So, but for someone like me who has a lot of watercolors and has a bit of experience there, I don't mind at all that they come like this, because I always have something on the go where I can use it. So that's that. The other thing I just maybe should mention, yesterday I went to IKEA and I finally got myself 5 of these trays. I used to think, where are they, because I never saw them before, and I see a lot of YouTube crafters and watercolorers that have these trays and they keep their like scrapbooking embellishments or stickers, and it looks very neat. Now it's actually very good for watercolors as well. So for example, if there are any tubes that you want to use for a particular painting and just want to keep them, you can just take them out and keep them like so. So it, you can create like a color scheme, for example, some like purples and I don't know, reds and greens or something like that, and you can just select them in different trays. And the good thing is this these are 15 ml tubes, and as you can see they fit in perfectly into these little trays. So finally I got that, and yeah, so, and of course I've got one of these glasses, which I have already quite a few, but I decided to keep my most used pens and pencils in here so that they're easy to grab when I'm painting. So this Okay, so I'm going to use the tear-off palette today, which is probably the cheapest thing to do if you don't have a palette or any mixing trays. I personally like doing it just because it's so easy. They're disposable, you don't need to clean anything out. I can just, mix and throw them out, really. So it's the easiest thing for me personally. So I do use them a lot, and I can leave some links for you as well. Now let's start with this one. So here is the 5 colors that come in this box are nickel, Quinacridone Gold. Now I think in America this is considered yeah, so it's got a warning here on the back of the tube, which you can see what it says here. So you need to be careful in this color, I guess, unless you ingest it, it's not that sort of dangerous. And obviously don't smear it on your skin and things like that. I don't touch watercolors with my hands. The watercolor goes onto the brush, and from there it goes onto the paper. In terms of inhaling, I don't think that gives you that much harm. So, oh, this is a very soft one. So I have been warned since I put the what's it called, the video up where I said I just purchased these colors. I had a lot of people say to me that these are not great for traveling because they have the honey in them. They're quite soft and they never really harden like the other watercolors do. So if you want to fill up some half pans and put it into your palette, you might struggle. But I don't really need, I mean, I have so many other watercolors that I can travel with that I don't really mind having that as an issue. But what I do mind is when they create mess like this, when I just tried to squeeze it out and it just went everywhere. But just because they're new, they're probably slightly, you know, quite full with the paint. So that's that. All of my tubes are usually kept very clean and neat, so as you can see the paint is coming out here as well, and it's a natural blackberry honey that they like to use in their watercolors. And you see this one is not as runny, so it depends. So the runny one was the Quinacridone Red. The next one is Quinacridone Rose, and it's much better. So if you want this watercolor to go back in the tube, just give it a little squeeze and look, it's going back in. That's a trick I've been doing for ages. So then Quinacridone Rust is the next one, and that is wanting to come out of the tube, but it's not runny, so that's good. And then last is the Quinacridone Violet. Just going to put that here, and that seems to be also on a thicker side, so it's not runny either. Okay, so let's do some swatching now. To begin with, it's the yellow. It's a gorgeous yellow, very bright. It kind of reminds me of Indian yellow. This is very saturated right here, so gorgeous color. If you really load it quite thickly, it almost looks like ochre. You can see here how brown it is. Now the next one is Quinacridone Red, and this is the runniest one, which I would imagine you probably would have a lot of trouble trying to get this color to dry fully. But it is a beautiful kind of raspberry pink. Very, very pretty. I'm just going to go back. You're not supposed to play around too much with your swatches because that disturbs the color flow, but this one was okay. I'm just going to lift that bit of pink there. Okay, so that's very, very pretty. Next one is this Quinacridone Rose. Oh yeah, this is gorgeous. Very, very beautiful. You need very little. They're very, very strong colors. They are very, very pretty. Next one is Quinacridone Rust, so this will be something brown. That is quite interesting, although usually I'm not a big fan of neutral kind of tones, but I do like the look of this. It would be great for botanical illustrations when you need a bit of brown, like when you, I don't know, paint a bit of bark or some sort of twigs or branches or whatever else. Now the next one is the Quinacridone Violet, which is sort of this bluish kind of purpley pinky color. It almost glows in real life. It has a very strong kind of almost fluorescent kind of look to it. Well, if I had to say, then, you know, this probably would be my least favorite color, just because in general this is the type of color I don't seem to love that much, although I purchased it from Daniel Smith ages ago, and I just don't seem to be using it that much. But it is gorgeously bright, and for those of you who like this color, I think you would really enjoy it. So here are the quick swatches, and what I want to do next is just play around on this page and do some dispersion tests and maybe some I don't know, lifting or something like that, transparency test as well. That'd be good. So let's go ahead and dry these and come back. Okay, so now that they're nicely dry, I can actually start seeing some granulation here, and I wonder, yeah, you can see it here a little bit on here, but not as much. And let's say here, so the Quinacridone Violet. Is it focusing? So yeah, here you can see Quinacridone Violet and the Quinacridone Red seem to be most granulating. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the transparency test on this side. So they seem quite transparent, although I have to say I have made them quite strong here. So I'm just going to pull it out like so. Okay, so as you saw, I had to kind of glaze a couple of colors because I thought they didn't come out true to kind of what they are with their brightness, and so that's what I did. And also I wanted to see what the transparency would be like if you load them with a lot of watercolors. So some of us like to use very concentrated watercolors, and I tend to do that quite often as well, and so I wanted to see the transparency of that as well versus more kind of watered out watercolors here. I have to say that the Quinacridone Rust, when I really packed it on, looks insanely beautiful. It's just such a kind of gorgeous, it does look like rusty kind of metal or something like that, but like a really burned beautiful color, really gorgeous. Yes, so I will let these dry, and then the next thing I will do, also I wanted to just briefly say I had a little dot of nickel Quinacridone Gold, and then I tried to lift it and so the next thing I will do is, while these are drying, I'm going to do the disperse test. And what that is, it checks, or it kind of makes you understand how the color spreads, whether it has a strong kind of movement or not so strong. So I will do 2 at a time so that the puddle isn't too wet. And I'll start with the concentrated nickel Quinacridone Gold. I'll probably just do actually 1 just to see a good comparison. That was pretty strong, I have to say.